Good morning and welcome everyone to the fifth and final WisTech webinar for 2024. I'm very excited to welcome everyone today for our topic on mental health, self-care, and assistive technology. Today's webinar is brought to you with the Department of Health Services and specifically WisTech, Wisconsin's Assistive Technology Act program. We are in the webinar platform, which does mean that your mics are muted, your cameras are off. We encourage you to use chat to ask your questions. We also have Q&A, so either one. I will be monitoring chat throughout, and I'm leaving it up to our speakers if they want to jump in and answer a question as it pops up, or if they would feel more comfortable waiting to the end. So just a couple bits of housekeeping. Again, this is being recorded. It will be archived and available on our YouTube channel in about a week or two. We do offer CEUs and CRCs for this session. In order to get those certificates, you will need to complete the survey that will pop up at the end of today's webinar. And if you miss that link, you will get a link in an email tomorrow. But it is required for you to do that survey. If you're not interested in the CRC and CEUs, we welcome your feedback anyway. So go ahead and take that survey. We have sign language interpreters as well as closed captioning for accessibility. If you run into any technical difficulties, feel free to send me a direct message through chat and we can troubleshoot that. Otherwise, I'm very excited to welcome our neighbors from Michigan. We've got Aimee Sterke and Laura Hall. I will let them share a little bit more about their backgrounds and what brought them to their work in assistive technology. And aside from that, welcome and excited to hear about the AT for mental health and self-care today. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Go ahead and share my screen. We're excited to join you today to talk about assistive technology for mental health and self-care for Tech for Tranquility. Laura, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Sure. My name is Laura Hall, and I work with Michigan Disability Rights Coalition and the Michigan Assistive Technology Project. I've been at MDRC for about 12 years. I'm a person with a disability who uses assistive technology every day, so that is kind of what brought me to the work. And I love being able to show other people AT and kind of open up possibilities for them. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I am a white woman with shoulder-length brown hair who uses a wheelchair. In this photo, I'm wearing a red and black shirt, and I'm in my wheelchair behind a brick building with a brick background.
And my name is Aimee Sterke. I'm one of the program directors for the Michigan Assistive Technology Program. And my pronouns are also she, her, and hers, and I'm also a white woman. My picture on the screen has me with my two kids. I am a person with multiple disabilities, including mental health and physical disabilities, and I use assistive technology every day as well. In my background, I've been working at Michigan Disability Rights Coalition for 20 years. And before that, I worked helping people transition out of nursing homes. And my email address is Aimee, spelled AIMEE, at mymdrc.org. Lori, go ahead.
Yeah. Mine is Laura, LAURA, at mymdrc.org. So what are we going to cover today? We are going to start by talking a little bit about Michigan Disability Rights Coalition and what we are all about. Aimee's going to provide us with some data on mental health and trauma. We're going to talk about disability pride and how that involves assistive technology and how it's related. We're going to discuss the barriers and benefits to AT. And we're going to get into specific assistive technology for things like self-regulation, executive functioning, managing stress, anxiety, depression, or PTSD, fostering organization and communication, and also a bit on crafting as a way to work towards self-care. And we'll wrap it up with some resources that you can use to learn more about this topic. We are a pretty informal group, so we welcome you to ask questions during this webinar. We may ask some questions of you to kind of get you involved, and we will also save time at the end for questions. So please feel free to type in the chat or the Q&A section to ask questions. We are going to describe the pictures on the slide as well, which I think I forgot on the last one. But this picture is of a thought bubble written on a chalkboard with a light bulb inside of it. So about Michigan Disability Rights Coalition, we are a nonprofit that serves the entire state of Michigan. Our mission is that we cultivate disability pride and strengthen the disability movement by recognizing disability as a natural and beautiful part of human diversity while collaborating to dismantle all forms of oppression. What I really like about MDRC is that we focus our programming and our advocacy. We see it from a disability lens, but we also recognize that people with disabilities have many identities and many places in life where they may be oppressed. And so we are concerned with that type of oppression as well. Other communities are facing oppression that affect people with disabilities. And on the right is our logo for MDRC. So just to get on the same page with some definitions, we're going to be talking about assistive technology today. And the way we define assistive technology is any item, piece of equipment, app that is used to help people with disabilities, including older adults, do what they want to do. People often ask us, what is the difference between assistive technology and technology in general? Isn't it the same thing? And for us, it's really that technology can make things easier for everyone, but for people with disabilities, it really opens up possibilities when you're talking about assistive technology. And the pictures on this slide are of a woman using a walker, a picture of a door grip, a smooth rock held in someone's hand, and a medication reminder box that's rainbow colored and can fit enough pills for it looks like about a week.
Just like to give you some information and statistics about mental health and neurodiversity in the disability community. About 1 in 5 children and adults live with mental health disabilities. 1 in 25 adults live with what is considered a serious mental health disability. And people with disabilities often experience mental health disabilities as well. So you have a physical or sensory disability and then also have a mental health disability. And people with disabilities also frequently experience trauma. And we define trauma as a shocking, scary, or dangerous experience that affects someone. And trauma can often be a cause of mental health disability for people with disabilities. And the picture here is of a man with his hands holding his head, looking like he is maybe crying or upset, and a person with a clipboard. We have an entire presentation that's just on assistive technology for trauma. And because people with disabilities experience trauma so much, we wanted to include some of that information in here. People with disabilities face almost double the rate of childhood trauma as the general population. And we know and experience trauma as intersectional. So people with low income or less educational attainment, people of color, people who identify as gay, lesbian, transgender, or bisexual have significantly higher chance of experiencing childhood trauma or adversity in childhood. And the supports and tools that build resilience and healing are some of the things we're going to cover today, but there are those options available. And people can be both recovering and acknowledge and live with a trauma history. childhood trauma can also be the cause of disability. And one of my disabilities is PTSD. I'm a childhood trauma survivor. There are some examples of different types of childhood trauma on this slide. Under the abuse heading is a picture of a fist representing physical abuse, an eye with a teardrop representing emotional abuse, and a child outline with adult legs outlined behind them representing sexual abuse. There's also childhood trauma under the neglect heading. Physical neglect with a picture of a teddy bear, emotional neglect with a child hugging their knees, and then household dysfunction can also be a cause of childhood trauma. So mental illness in the family is considered a childhood trauma trigger. Incarceration of a family member is also considered a childhood trauma. And there's a picture of a person holding onto prison bars. Substance abuse, and there's a picture of pills. Divorce, and there's a picture of 2 different wedding rings with like a red line separating them. And then mother treated violently, and there's a picture of an outline of a woman holding a baby with red emotion lines going out from her.
So I mentioned that we were going to talk a little bit about disability pride in the beginning of our presentation. This is a big theme that we use at MDRC and talk about and infuse into our leadership programs, is the idea that you can take pride in your disability. So we define disability pride as accepting and honoring our uniqueness and seeing it as a natural and beautiful part of human diversity. Pride comes when we celebrate our own heritage, culture, unique experiences, and contributions. There's a lot to gain from having disability pride. We live in a world that there's a lot of stigma around disability and shame, and that all comes from ableism that we have surrounding us in our daily lives. So when you have disability pride, it's kind of a response to that stigma and shame. And it helps you gain self-esteem and self-acceptance. You can gain a support system or a community with a sense of belonging. I know I didn't discover the disability community until I was in my 20s. And it was a very lonely experience, feeling like you're the only one that's going through what you're going through. And when you're able to develop a support system, it's really just amazing how much community can help with developing disability pride and just having you feel a sense of belonging and have people to talk to that understand what you're going through. So very important. Having disability pride can help you attain accommodations. Again, there's often stigma and shame around asking for accommodations because some people feel like they may be asking for too much or something extra. But under disability pride, we really see accommodations as things that are necessary and something that you have a right to, instead of being something extra or too much to ask. You also can gain a value of interdependence. So often those of us with disabilities are encouraged to be as independent as possible. And then there's sort of a feeling of maybe I'm not so dependent anymore if we tend to need to rely on other people. So for example, I used to be able to get myself dressed and get in my wheelchair by myself and do everything that I need to do to get ready for my day. But as I obtained a full-time job, I couldn't spend 3 hours doing that anymore. And I really had to kind of adjust to this idea that I was relying on another person, and there wasn't really anything wrong with that because we all rely on other people to get done what we need to get done. And that's really the idea of interdependence versus independence. It's relying on another person and helping each other do what we need to do. It can help gain a life of honesty, especially for people who have non-apparent disabilities. It's often easier to, try to pass as a person without a disability so that you don't have to face the stigma and the shame. But acknowledging your disability can be very powerful because you are acknowledging that you do have a disability and the needs that you have, and the accommodations that you need. And so for those people that I've talked to that have non-apparent disabilities, once they have acknowledged their disability or come out as a person with a disability, they've talked about having this feeling of living it, their life more honestly, like they're not hiding or lying to people anymore. It can also lead to an appreciation for diversity. I think diversity within the disability community and different types of disability when you're able to meet other people, but also an appreciation for diversity just in general, because we know what it's like to be part of a group that is targeted or oppressed. And so we can see that happening with other groups and can develop an appreciation for it. We have two pictures on the slide. One picture is a black and white picture of a group called the Ablers Club. They are in a march or rally holding a sign that says Ablers Club of SVSU, which is Saginaw Valley State University here in Michigan, Disabled and Proud, sponsored by Connect and SVSU. And then the second picture on this slide is a picture of the Capitol crawl that occurred when activists were trying to help get the ADA passed when it was stalled. People with disabilities and allies got out of their wheelchairs, crawled up the Capitol steps to make a point that the ADA needed to be passed. So that's the other example. And I believe we have a couple of videos that we're going to show that describe disability pride from other people's perspectives and more about why it's important to have pride.
What is disability pride? Hey, I'm Aimee from the Youth Disability Advocacy Service. Disability pride can mean different things to different people. It can be about embracing your disability, not hiding things about who you are, and it is celebrating the good things about your disability. Nathan, a young, profoundly deaf, hearing impaired adult.
Disability pride means a lot to me because it's a community that I feel included with, and knowing that I'm not alone.
Mary, a young adult sitting with Amelia and Savannah.
I think for me, disability pride is basically not being ashamed of the fact that I have a disability.
River, a teenager.
It's kind of fun having Asperger's. When I was diagnosed, I was sort of like, so this is why I'm different.
She puts her fingers to her temples, then releases them.
I'm just different from other people and I see the world in a different way.
Veronica, a young adult, sitting with Summer, a teenager.
I'm happy to be blind because if I was sighted, I wouldn't have had all these experiences that make me who I am today.
Edie, a teenager.
The best thing about having a disability is kind of the wisdom that comes from it.
Savannah, a teenager.
I have like a view of the world that's like really different. We all had this different perspective.
Zoe, a young adult wheelchair user, talking with Laura, a young adult.
Disability pride is not something that's necessarily easy to attain for every single person. It's a journey, and some days you have a stop where it's like, I'm not proud of my disability today, but tomorrow I feel great about having a disability.
Julie, a young adult of short stature, sitting beside Sydney, a young adult with dwarfism.
It took me like a while, to come to terms with my disability. It wasn't really until I met other people like me and spent some time around them.
Just hearing other people have similar issues to me is just amazing. I felt so good to feel that I wasn't alone.
Sean, a young adult wheelchair user.
When you get a win, when you work it out, you get through it, that's a big achievement. All you did was climb 3 steps in physio, but that's a huge thing for you. It doesn't have to be a huge win like finishing your degree or getting a promotion at your job. It's the little things that you've worked so hard to get to. You need to be proud of them.
River.
If there was like a magical new drug or something that would take away my Asperger's forever, I wouldn't take it, because I like who I am, I like having Asperger's, and I would never ever ever want to change that.
She crosses her arms and shakes her head. Ashley, a young adult with Down syndrome.
Sometimes I just love to tell people with Down syndrome, don't you limit yourself.
She waves her hand and shakes her head with attitude. Veronica.
Our disabilities are what make us unique. And as a community, being able to share this uniqueness will help society to grow.
And one more.
Disabled.
This is focusing on the word disabled, and when you use the word disability, the things that come out of that.
When I call myself disabled, I'm starting a rebellion in a conversation.
When I call myself disabled, I claim disability as part of who I am. I make the world see me as I see me.
When I call myself disabled, it's not a debate. I'm disabled. I always have been. I always will be.
So often we see disability as such a wrong and horrible thing, but in reality it's an identity that helps bring people together. I hope that by starting a hashtag like this, people feel less alone. I've often heard when I've called myself disabled, oh, that's not who you really are, or that's a horrible thing to say about yourself, but no, it's really not. I'm happy to be disabled. I'm proud of who I am. I'm not going to hide away and pretend like it doesn't exist, and I'm not going to make any sort of euphemism to make you feel better. That's not going to happen. Not anymore.
For me, the reason why I call myself disabled is, besides that I am, is that disability, it comes back down to disability pride. For me, disability pride is not about loving your symptoms 24/7 or even at all. It's about rejecting the societal idea that they make you inferior and impact your worth in a negative way.
I self-identify. I make the world have to include me, wheelchair and all. I won't be hidden. I won't be kept apart from full life participation that we all deserve. Inclusion.
Calling myself disabled is just a fact. When I call myself disabled, I'm freeing myself. I'm allowing myself to use those devices, to go out, to be seen, to be heard, to be part of society. When I call myself disabled, instead of fighting it, why don't you embrace it?
Does anybody have any thoughts about the videos that they'd like to put in the chat or in the Q&A?
Just, yeah, as the other Laura says, feel free to share your impressions on those videos. They're very powerful. I love those links, Aimee and Laura. Those will definitely be links I will be saving to share with others in the future.
We have comments like that was great and powerful and very powerful perspectives, and adults as well. That's true. We had more youth in the first video talking about pride.
I really like that the videos include youth in the video, because it just makes me so hopeful that this idea of disability pride has progressed so far since, the time when I was young and wasn't necessarily seen that way. I also like in that video that the audio descriptions are really helpful in the signing. We get a lot of comments on the video that really adds to the video, and it's good to see that played out and show what a truly inclusive video can look like.
There's also a comment, I love the idea of removing stigma from words. What great perspective, thinking of ways we can promote this as an organization. Laura and her team do a bunch around disability pride, so it's not part of the assistive technology program, but definitely get in touch with Laura, because she has a whole different program she works on called Leaders for Inclusion, and a lot around pride. So happy to connect that way.
Whole presentation on that. So,
all right, I will share the PowerPoint again. Thanks for those comments.
So how disability pride is connected to mental health and trauma. Disability pride, because of ableism, is often met with internalized ableism, and that can be in opposition to having disability pride. That's the idea that a person experiences all of those ableist messages that we live with in society, beliefs that people with disabilities are not good enough or less valuable, or that disability is a bad thing, and they turn those feelings inward and start believing those things about themselves. So it could be thoughts of, I'll never get a job, I'm not good enough, I have to work so much harder, things like that. But disability pride is really one of the things that fights internalized ableism, when you can see things from a perspective that it's not you, it's the barriers that we have in society, it's the attitudes and stigma. It really helps to kind of reflect on what really is the problem when we're so often made to think that it is ourselves. So disability pride also promotes thinking deeply about that. Using assistive technology is a way to acknowledge disability, whether it be using equipment like the durable medical equipment for your disability, or any other type of AT, things that we're going to talk about today. And asking for accommodations and for what you need is another way to acknowledge your disability. I think, as we heard in the video, this idea that disability pride takes practice. It's a journey. It's not something that you are born with. It's something that you develop over time. And I think this was also mentioned in the video, but we often get questions like, or we get reactions to disability pride, like it's the idea that we need to be happy about our disability all the time. And, I think that's just impossible to be happy all the time with your disability and how things are going. And we don't want to give the message that we're promoting like toxic positivity here. We acknowledge that, there are good days and there are bad days. There are days that I hate having a disability and it just stinks. And that's part of having pride too, is having those ups and downs. So it takes time and takes practice. And requesting and getting accommodations and using assistive technology is a way of practicing pride. So being out in public, using your durable medical equipment, asking for the accommodations you need are all ways that help you get to a deeper level of disability pride. The picture on this slide is of 4 people walking on a boardwalk, or a boardwalk, and one of the persons are in a wheelchair. Next slide.
We like to talk about the benefits of assistive technology in addition to being a way of practicing pride. And for a lot of people, assistive technology becomes a part of who they are. But there's a lot of fun foundational research on the benefits of assistive technology, including assistive technology for mental health. From self-reports of people with disabilities, assistive technology is the most effective strategy for helping us do what we want to do. So if there's a piece of assistive technology that helps you do something, or you can have a personal care attendant do it, if that piece of assistive technology is just as good at helping you do what you want to do as a personal care attendant, then you don't have to worry about days off or scheduling or anything like that. Certainly, many of us with disabilities need a personal care attendant and assistive technology, but when assistive technology is available, it is the most effective strategy, as reported by us as people with disabilities, for helping us do what we want to do if it's available. For people that use assistive technology, they've done many studies on folks using the waiver program in New York. Actually, they found when people used assistive technology that they chose and wanted to use, they had decline was slowed, and they had fewer nursing home and hospital stays. They think because many people, when they use assistive technology, are safer. They fall less and are able to do things in a way that doesn't result in as much injury. So there were fewer nursing home and hospital stays with people that used assistive technology. And people also reported greater functional independence, and that when we have access to good assistive technology, it's available where and when we need it. And then assistive technology allows us self-direction, choosing how and when and what to use for assistive technology.
Some of the barriers to assistive technology can be lack of knowledge about what is available, what's out there. Again, some people with disabilities, some people think that assistive technology is solely durable medical equipment, or maybe it's something that's very high tech, requires, a lot of money or a lot of technical knowledge to use it. And for a lot of things, and especially some of the things that we're going to talk about today, a lot of this is not high tech, and is things that can help in many, many different areas of disability and mental health. Another barrier can be a lack of knowledge about where assistive technology is available and how to get it. I think that these two barriers show how important it is that we have assistive technology programs in every state and territory in the United States. We're able to show people both what is available and also help them figure out where to find it. In addition, I know that our program also helps people find funding sources for purchasing assistive technology, or can help with insurance barriers. So kind of finding the route where assistive technology can be funded is important. Fear of wasting money if the assistive technology doesn't work. Again, I think this is another area where the Assistive Technology Act programs are very important, because they all provide demonstrations of assistive technology, so you can try assistive technology before you buy it. And so you're not basing it off a decision of maybe it'll work and maybe it won't. And then again, there's the social barriers to using assistive technology and the stigma that can be a barrier as well.
When we're working with folks or for ourselves choosing assistive technology, we always start with people's goals. So a lot of the medical model of working with people with disabilities around assistive technology is like defining a problem and like what are the medical providers' goals. But when we work around choosing assistive technology, especially the assistive technology for neurodiversity, self-care, and mental health, start with what are the person's goals. Do they want to manage symptoms? Do they want to do something that's been hard to do? Do they want to get back to an activity that helps and promotes mental wellness for them? What is the person's goals? And then research device options. You can check with your local assistive technology program to help look at device options. There are also some fairly decent like clearance or clearing houses of information about assistive technology device options. And actually, there's a lot going around on social media about innovations in assistive technology. You also want to look at the environment that the person is going to use the assistive technology in. Do they need, for example, if they're going to be using an app, a mental health app, do they also need headphones so that they can concentrate or so that others don't hear what they're listening to on their app? If they're using a physical device, does their home or workplace have the space to use that device? What is the environment that you need to use the app or device in? Do you need access to a power source? Like what are the circumstances there? And then look at resources for financing. Is there a program maybe that would cover the device? Can they get it through a waiver program, through an employer, through other financial sources? Do they need help for setting up, installing, or maintaining the device? What are the options there for resources?
So when we're talking about mental health and self-care, a lot of what we are talking about is self-regulation. And just so everyone's on the same page, we're defining self-regulation as the ability to manage positive or negative emotions, sensations, and thoughts. So it includes being able to regulate strong emotions like frustration or excitement, anger, or embarrassment or fear. It can be the ability to calm down after something exciting or upsetting. It can be the ability to focus on the task or refocus the attention on a new task, or even transition between tasks in a way that is smooth and comfortable to the person. And self-regulation can also mean our ability to control our impulses in the moment and focus on the task that needs to be done. The picture on this slide is from Inside Out 2. And it shows, let's see if I can remember all these characters here. We have sadness, joy, embarrassment, anger. Anxiety is at the control panel in this picture. So anxiety is in control. I think there's envy, disgust, and ennui.
Yeah, you got
is that
it.
all of them? Woo!
I think so.
So some assistive technology for self-regulation can be fidgets. So things like stress balls that can help you regulate emotions or focus attention or even get out frustration or anger. They come in all different types of textures and with different types of sensory outputs. So they can be very firm, like the foam squishy balls that we're kind of used to, the stress balls that we're used to. And they can be more squishy, like putty or dough, so that you can really work your hands into that. They can make a crunchy noise or a poppy noise. And they also just come in like any type of character that you can think of. I was just to see, I love polar bears. So I looked up to see if there were stress balls that were also polar bears, and lo and behold, they have them. So, you know, you can find it in your favorite character, your favorite color, with all these types of inputs. There are poppets, which are like silicone, and it gives a sensation of popping bubble wrap, but in a silent way, which is really nice. So you can have that sensation without making the noise. Fidget cubes are cubes that you can hold in your hand that generally have several different sensory inputs on each side. So there could be like a switch on one side, maybe some buttons on another side of the cube that you can push, gears that you can roll between your thumb, things like that. Wacky tracks or clicky toys. These are the tracks are the ones that you can twist up and then lock and snap into place, and then you can twist them up again and then untangle them. Similarly, there are tangle toys, which are just toys that you can squish together and tangle in different directions and then untangle and straighten and have that kind of satisfying feeling of straightening it out. The Ono roller is another example of a fidget for self-regulation. These are cylinder rollers that you can put in your hand and rotate either in your palm, or you can take them and roll them in both your palms and have that sensation. They have one that is steel and another one that's silicone that has some textured grip to it. These come in different colors and different sizes. They have ones that are the Ono Roller Juniors that are for kids. They also have a Ono Roller Scroller, which is supposed to mimic the sensation of scrolling on your phone. I know a lot of us are kind of addicted to scrolling on our phone, myself included. Sometimes I just find myself scrolling because it's a comforting feeling. So there's something that mimics that. There's also the Mosey, which is like a big slinky that you can put.
I have one, Laura. Do you want me to?
Oh, good. Yes, show it. It's so much easier to show it than to try to describe it.
It really feels good on your body and you can connect hands with other people, and it does not work well if you have bulky sleeves on. So.
It even goes over your watch and everything.
A little bit, kind of gets caught.
Yeah. We got some comments from some Ono roller lovers. So on the pictures on the slide, on the bottom left, we have a picture of a hand squeezing a very squishy stress ball, one that's like putty. A couple pictures of the Ono rollers, one being covered in silicone with texture and one being the metal one. We have a picture of the Mosey, which is what Aimee just showed, rolling up and down her arm. We have pictures of these wacky track snails that you're able to twist and lock in place in different directions and then untwist.
They make a really satisfying clacking sound, but it's not great for classroom use for that one.
Yeah. And our staff is kind of split on how we feel about those. I really like playing with them, but we have another staff member who just cannot stand the feeling of that. So it's good that we have different things for different people. And then we have a picture of monkey noodles, which remind me of almost a licorice type of texture that you can just stretch out and play with. They're clean, they're not messy. They come in different colors, which are nice and could be useful for, I think, kids and adults. So those are some fidgets.
I will say, Laura's gonna we have links to all of these too. So Laura's gonna put the resource guide with all this information on, I think, the end of the survey that you get. Also some AT for sensory needs for regulation. This is a picture actually of my daughter in a hammock chair. And then next to it is part of the regulator, which is an autism level up tool, which helps you look at tools and strategies of they like are soothing, neutral, or alerting. And if it's yucky for you, okay or awesome. So my daughter has been working with her OT to know which things wind her up and which things calm her down and which things she likes and doesn't like. And then also what her situation that she's in needs. So she would always be wanting to wind up. And for her, a sensory swing or like the seating that twists is a winding up. So she's 6. She's not yet able to admit that sometimes situations do not call for winding up. They call him for concentration and winding down. But for her, this hammock chair, which is actually from Walmart, an Ozark camping chair, actually is soothing. The back and forth movement of the hammock chair is soothing and winding down. For mental health needs and for safety needs and stuff too, this is actually made for adults, but like for her as a child, she can kind of totally cocoon in it. And for my other child, that feeling of being surrounded in safety is super important to them with their sensory needs. So that also can kind of meet that need. We also have pictured on this slide, I think it's called the Aurora Borealis light, but it will be in your handout. But there's different lighting options that can be winding up or winding down for folks. For people who, like myself, prefer visual stims, different colors of light with different amounts of motion and things can be super helpful for regulation. And then I also have a picture of a bike here. This is one of our e-bikes. It's a Trek e-bike, but that bilateral use of both sides of your body stimulates the bilateral part of your nervous system that helps. I think it's the parasympathetic nervous system. It's the dorsal vagal, there's some polyvagal theory in here, but like helps with calming. Is why the technique of EMDR is effective. Other things like shaking 2 different maracas or doing yoga that uses both sides of your body or drumming. These are all regulating kinds of activities. So mountain biking is great for sensory regulation. And we left my favorite fidget for this regulation page. This is called the worm, but my kids and I actually call it the breadstick because I don't even think it looks like a worm, but these are like connected plastic plates that are just the right amount of squish and give. And if you're in a Zoom meeting or things, I need my hands to be moving, but I don't like the fidgets that make sound because I don't want to be disruptive to the movie or to the meeting. So this is something that I can hold just under the camera view, and I can fidget for entire meetings very happily with the breadstick. We also have pictured here some other AT for self-regulation. And then in your handout, there's even more, but this is a picture of a person using a cozy canoe, which is like a flocked vinyl, the kind of vinyl that they use for like air mattresses for camping. And you can sit it in the way the person is sitting in it, but you can also sit in it the long way so that that you just get that feeling of comfort and surrounding. We also have a teeter popper here, that back and forth movement here can be generated by the teeter popper. And then this child is in the top right is in something that to me looks like it is shaped like a tooth. It's called the Sensa Soft Squeezy Seat. And we were just told by some OTs that a lot of kids find these super helpful. It squeezes your body while you're sitting in it, and just that pressure, like weighted blankets and other things like that, can be really helpful. I have seen an adult sit in it, but it was not comfortable. They had a hard time extracting themselves. And then another device that I hope a lot of AT programs have or get is called the Sensate. And there's a picture of a woman using the Sensate here on the left. The Sensate is kind of teardrop shaped and flat, just about the size of a small cell phone. And you wear it around your neck, so it hangs like right on your sternum, and it attaches via Bluetooth to an app, and it does some vibration, and you can use the app to control the vibration. For folks that have tried it that like it, there are definitely people that don't. If you don't like the feeling of vibration, you will not like this. It can help a lot with mindfulness meditation and other forms of calming. Have you tried it? I tried it and found it useful.
I did. I tried it and I felt it. It was really helpful for anxiety. For me, I tend to feel my anxiety in my chest. To me, it felt like a purring cat kind of sitting in my chest, which was very comforting. And I like that you can change the vibrations, and I think you can also pair it with some music and
Yeah.
music. Mm-hmm.
Super popular in our lending library, and it is about a $320 device. So people really appreciate the opportunity to try it for several weeks before investing that kind of money in, and you would sure not want to invest that kind of money and then find out that you hated it, or that it didn't work for you. Some people with substance use disorders have also used it for calming and maintenance kinds of things too. I also wanted to talk about AT for daily living as a mental health AT. Mental health and trauma, for me personally, when I'm experiencing strong symptoms, it impacts a lot of my daily living, and I need more AT for daily living when I'm having more symptoms. So it impacts cooking and eating, bathing, dressing, self-care, organizing your day, getting to and from work and school, taking care of yourself and your family, recreation, socializing, and school and work performance. And there's a picture of a family on this slide, maybe sharing a meal. There's a dad with a little kid that's in a high chair, helping the kid eat or showing the kid that the food's delicious maybe, and then the rest of the family behind looks like buttering bread and stuff. So we have entire presentations on AT for daily living. I would just really encourage you, if you are working with people who have mental health disabilities, to talk about where their disabilities are impacting their daily living, and to talk about AT for daily living. So cooking, cleaning, dressing, AT, smart ovens, all of the apps around that as well. Just a couple of hacks. I really encourage folks to get the book, How to Keep House While Drowning. It is often, at least my small town library has it available on Audible or Libby. And there's just lots of methods and supports for handling care tasks while experiencing strong mental health symptoms, and especially starting to use self-compassion for yourself while handling mental health symptoms and trying to stay alive and keep your family alive. The author is a licensed professional counselor, and she has the Instagram handle @StruggleCare. And if you watch her on there too, there's just a lot of hacks and ways for talking to yourself. But a lot of what it comes down to is prioritizing health and safety first, and making things easier, having less judgment about yourself, about what your house looks like or what you need to be doing. Some other things that end up being AT for mental health while managing symptoms are using paper products and not feeling bad about using paper products to eat off of. Maybe you have access to smart ovens, meal delivery, apps for meal delivery, and apps for cooking with what you have. There's some great apps out there. Like I've got this and this in my fridge. What can I make from it that's quick and easy? And then Casey Davis in her book has a lot of strategies for cleaning. So if all you can do is 3 minutes, then prioritizing health and safety. So throwing out trash so that you're not attracting pests. So your house is safer because you're throwing out trash. She has other really great strategies as well. And then things for executive function that Laura's going to talk about around cleaning too, like maybe using a visual timer, body doubling, other things like that could help if you can have some energy for cleaning or cooking, things like that.
And Aimee, this is the other Laura. It's so funny when you keep saying Laura, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, am I on call?
Yeah.
Anyway, I think I loved your point about the what you highlighted, just the like to use the paper products and that sounds like this book is giving permission to let go of some of that personal societal guilt that is going to weigh on someone that has mental health. So I think I'm going to take a peek at this book for our program partners because I think it might be helpful to have that in our lending library. But I just thought I wanted to just highlight that point was really important. Because I think we all go through like this is what we should do every day, and then sometimes you just have to make that choice to maybe do something that you normally wouldn't. And I think that was a great point you made. I just wanted to highlight that.
Absolutely. And a lot of us at our work have read this. Our director first told us about it, and she has mental health disabilities too. So just like the way you talk to yourself so much about your house and your childcare if you have children and like what you're able to accomplish can be so much more harmful. And shaming yourself into cleaning or shaming yourself into taking a shower is long-term a terrible idea. So absolutely, I highly recommend these for the libraries around the state.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Jack Handy from Saturday Night Live. I don't know if you ever saw those skits. It was the positive self-talk. It was from Jack Handy. So yeah, same concept.
Yes. Don't have to have positivity with it, but yes. And I saw someone put a body doubling app in the chat too. Thank you for that. That's cool. I have not heard of that. I'm going to check it out.
Okay. So mental health can also affect sleeping, obviously, and also part of self-care is getting good sleep. And there is a variety of AT for sleeping. There are sleep sacks. There is a picture in the lower right-hand corner of Aimee's cutie Annalise in a sleep sack. This can just help you feel contained and warm. These also are made for adults. They remind me of like stretchy sleeping bags, lighter, stretchier sleeping bags.
Yeah, they were on Shark Tank, the adult versions. Yeah.
And they have some that have hoods, so if you like having your head covered, you can do that. And there was even one that I saw that was a weighted sleep sack as well. I don't know if that'd be too comfortable for me, but somebody might like that. Body pillows obviously can help you with positioning and comfort. Just having something to kind of hold while you're sleeping can be helpful. There are all different types of night lights, wake up lights, and light projectors. We have one pictured on the upper right-hand corner that's called the Hatch. It is a sound machine, a night light, a wake up light, and a clock. So it's many things in one. And the wake up lights can be really nice because they get brighter as you get closer to the time that you're waking up. So it's not like you have that jolt of light or that jolt of alarm kind of waking you up. It wakes you up in more of a slow manner. So that can be helpful. Weighted stuffed animals we were talking about just before this webinar started can be helpful. Again, to have that pressure and something to hold on to. Sound machines and smart speakers. So there are machines that are completely dedicated to creating different sounds, whether it be rainforest sounds or white noise or brown noise, or all the different types of colors of noises that they have now. Can help with getting to sleep. You can also ask smart speakers like Alexa or Google Home to play relaxing sounds while you're trying to sleep. And so there are a variety of skills on the Alexa I know that can play various sounds. And there's also the Better Sleep app. I like this app a lot because it not only has sounds, but you're able to mix sounds. Like you can have the sound of a crackling fire mixed with the sound of rain or whatever makes sense to you, and have those at different volumes. So you can kind of choose which one you're hearing more prominently. They also have on the Better Sleep app a recorder that will record if you're snoring or any other noises that you make during the sleep, which make me feel a little bit uncomfortable. Some people can find that helpful, and it also tracks how long you slept and things like that. They have sleep stories and sleep meditation. So just all different types of ways to help you get to sleep, all in one app, which is really nice. We also have on the side the Dusker Sleep Bar and the Dusker iMats. The Sleep Bar is a Bluetooth speaker that you can put under your pillow to be able to listen to things through your pillow without disturbing the person next to you. Many of our staff members tried this for a couple nights, the sound bar, and we came to the conclusion that it really depends on how thick your pillow is or how dense your pillow is as to how well you can hear it. Some people could really hear it well and really enjoyed it. I couldn't hear it very well at all, but I have a very dense kind of foam pillow. So I don't know, what was your experience with it, Aimee?
I think those of us over 40 also had trouble hearing.
Yeah, that could be too.
I wanted to say I put a compression, it's like a sleep sheet in the chat too. My kids and I all have seen a sleep specialist, and that has been a game changer for some of our family for sleep as well, and as have weighted blankets. But those you have to use with caution. But I will say, those of us that are autistic, it is just very well known that we don't make melatonin the same way. So like sleep is a challenge, and you've got to use what you can use to and what works. I will say these compression sheets are terrible if you have also bedwetting. So we got to find other options if you have bedwetting. They are very hard to get on and off. So
looks like somebody is asking about grounding sheets. I have not used those.
I haven't heard of those. Is that similar to the compression sheet?
This is Laura. So grounding, basically it's actually has an electrical current in that. And I've got several friends and a neighbor who use those, and so they have found them beneficial. So if you just Google grounding sheets, it can kind of give you the FAQ on, and those not necessarily were, some people have them as a mattress pad. My neighbor has one as just like a blanket throw. So those are definitely a thing, and people are using them for a variety of needs and wants.
I read your comment too that if you've tried the fire crackling, but you think you dream your house is burning. I incorporate what I'm listening to into my dreams too, Laura. So you got to be careful about what you listen to.
Yeah, this is Laura again. So I'm glad you've got, the headband, headphones and things like that. I personally use Bluetooth earbuds when I sleep with white noise, primarily for blocking out snoring. And I started using these when my husband gave me the Bose sleep buds. And so those are an interesting product because they're a masking, they're not in canceling. And then Anchor now has a set, the sound core. I found I couldn't get the volume I needed in the Anchor ones, but they are more comfortable than the version that I'm wearing now, which are by Tozo. They're just an Amazon brand. But for some individuals that maybe still want to be able to be aware of their surroundings, considering the sound masking versus the canceling, might be a better match for them.
Someone else uses Cozy Phones. I put the pillow speaker that I use, the Crane, because it has a volume control too. And I don't like things in my ears while I'm sleeping. So lots of options, and you do have to figure out what works for you.
You do, because unless it's like inside my ear and inside my head, it will not block out what I need to block.
Your partner might need a CPAP. Oh, goodness. Let's see. I have another video to show too for our next.
Oh, I just wanted to mention, Aimee, the last picture on the side, if you weren't able to see it, is a picture of an eye mask that's also a Bluetooth speaker. It has a very wide headband that you can place around your head. It blocks off, it says 99.9% of light, and then you can control all the functions from the mask itself.
Here's they break easily. My cats chew their cord, but this works for me. And then that's the compression sheets. Let's see. All right, we have this video for organizing and memory.
My name's Leah. I live in Chicago. I work as an actor and a teacher, mostly teaching kids and teens how to audition for commercials and TV. And I'm queer and have an awesome girlfriend. I have no routine. Every day is a little different, and I'm getting to do a lot of really cool different things, and I enjoy all of those. But having ADHD, the really big one for me is the timers, because I will actually just forget that I'm doing something. Remind me to meditate in 15 minutes. When our routines are so up in the air right now, if I have one thing scheduled in a day, if I had one appointment, that is actually harder for me to remember and to get to than if I have a whole day stacked of appointments. So I'll usually be able to set an alarm just to make sure that I remember I'm where I need to be. Without Alexa, I would probably have burned the kitchen down.
All right, back to the PowerPoint. There's that mask you're talking about. Sorry about that, Laura.
It's okay. So some AT for organizing and memory. Obviously, we saw some ways that Alexa can be used to set reminders and timers, which is very helpful. There are so many ways to set timers and reminders. You can have physical timers, kitchen, timers. If you need that physical device, some people need it actually to be able to touch and hold it. You can have timers and reminders on your phone, on your computer, on your smartwatches, all sorts of things. And then having checklists often helps people with organizing and memory. So again, that could be like physical notebooks. You can have a checklist within an app. You can set to-dos on your smart devices. You can use your voice to set reminders or to establish to-do lists on your phone using Siri or the Google Assistant, or if you have a Samsung, Bixby is the other one. You can even set up reminders that are triggered when you get to a certain location. So say you leave the house and you arrive at work, then you have the reminder to, I don't know, grab your lunch out of the car, something like that, which can be really helpful because some people don't remember until they, or don't want to be reminded until they get there, and that location reminder can be very helpful. There are also things like Google Keep, which allow you to just make basic notes and lists if you're really well versed in the Google platform. A lot of the things I do uses Google Docs, Google Sheets. So being able to keep notes and lists within the Google Suite can be helpful too. And what I like about those is that you don't have to worry about saving. It automatically saves for you and can show you the version that you were working on. Some other AT that we have for organizing in memory, in the middle of the screen toward the top, we have something called the Rocket Book. This is a notebook that you can use. It has like a whiteboard that you can write on. You can use the Rocketbook app to scan what you have on the page, and then you're able to wipe it clean and reuse it. So it's very economical as well. And you're not using a lot of paper. They have these notebooks in different sizes. You can get them as a planner and a notebook together, which is nice. And they also have them in like sticky note size or pocket notebook size. So there's lots of different options with that. In the middle left-hand side, on the left-hand side of the screen is a device that we call the time timer. This has a red circle in the middle, and as time goes by, the red becomes white. So it's kind of a visual reminder of how much time is left. I think that can be really helpful to people that have trouble transitioning or just need to like extra time to know when they're transitioning as well. There are digital versions of this as well, where it will show the time in the middle of the screen, and then it has buttons that light up for like 15 minutes left, 30 minutes left, 45 minutes left, 60 minutes left. So we've moved up in the world and now have digital versions of the time timer, which is cool. We talked
about family members, Laura, with time, what they call time blindness, that whether it's the autism or ADHD or even like, I think PTSD impacts your perceptions of time and stuff too. So those are so helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. There are also a variety of apps that can kind of keep you on track, just any sort that you can think of. Lots of to-do lists, lots of checklists, ways to remind yourself. There are the built-in reminders that come, native with Apple and Android products that you can use, or you can download an app that maybe does it in a certain way that you like better. One of the apps that we have pictured on this slide is called the Can Plan app. And what I like about this app is it allows you to break down an activity such as like making coffee step by step. So you can take different pictures of the steps that it takes to make coffee, and then you can pair that with audio that you create that describes each of the steps to making coffee. And so the activities of coffee, brushing your teeth, and charging your phone are all built in to the app already as templates. So those are already created, but you can also create your own pictures and audio to go with an activity as well. So that's the Can Plan app. And we also have pictured in the lower left-hand corner the TileMate, which are tracking devices you can hook to your keys, or maybe your dog's collar or pet's collar, or a bag, maybe your purse or luggage. And the app is able to tell you where these devices are. And I think that's it for this slide.
Laura, can you talk about LiveScribe a little bit? Because I think that's really good for my
Yeah. LiveScribe is a pen that comes with a special notebook that has something that they call dot paper, and the pen actually has a recording device in it. So when you hit record on the notepad, it will record what is being said as you're writing. And then once you stop that, you can then take the pen, put it on the piece of writing that you are wanting to know more about. And when you hit that, it plays the recording that goes along with that audio. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay. So there are a couple different versions of the LiveScribe out now. I really like the original version, which is called the Echo.
Yeah. As someone that experienced medical trauma, I used LiveScribe when I was having some medical appointments that I would often figure out afterwards that I didn't remember what was said. So then I would bring it with and make notes so that I could go back, like, what did they say about this or that? Especially with that high, like, I had a time where they thought maybe I had cancer, like having the LiveScribe to be able to go back. No, they did not say that. They said this. That's super helpful. But when I am having strong symptoms of PTSD, memory is a big issue for me. So having these kinds of organizing and memory options are really helpful.
So in addition to the AT for executive functioning, there are also many apps that help with executive functioning skills. One group of these apps are called Pomodoro or focus timers. If you're not familiar with the Pomodoro technique, it's a technique of getting work done where you spend 25 minutes working, which is called a Pomodoro. So each 25 minutes is called a Pomodoro. Then you take a 5-minute break. And then after 4 Pomodoros or 100 minutes, you can take a longer break, like, more like 15 minutes. I found this really helpful just to help me get started to do things. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed by what I need to do, and being able to break it down in those chunks is really helpful. Again, all sorts of apps that use the Pomodoro technique. Dailyo is another app that uses emojis and icons to help track your moods and your daily activities. It's actually marketed as a journaling app, which is really cool because I'm not a journaler. I don't like to write. I don't like to type a lot of things. Actually, I had a therapist suggest to me, what if you just wrote down emojis and things that you felt every day? And so this is an app that really does exactly that. You can track your moods, you can track activities that affect your moods, and it gives you nice charts and graphs. It also has short writing prompts that you can engage in. Again, they're short, so it could be something like 3 things that I'm grateful for are, these. There is the Productive Pro app. The Productive Pro app helps you set goals and routines and habits, provides encouragement and data in the way of charts and graphs and things like that on your productivity. So it can really help you kind of track how your productivity has increased over time. The ChoiceWorks app and the ChoiceWorks calendar app are really aimed toward kids. They use icons to represent different activities that can be added to a to-do list or to a routine. And they're able to like physically move those icons, drag them over to the done column. And that's reinforced with some audio that they were able to complete that task. And the choice part of the app is that when you have completed your to-do list, it presents you with 2 options of other things that you could do next. And you're able to either use the ones that are built in, or you can create your own. So this is a good way to give kids choices and what they're able to do once they accomplish the things that they need to do. This app also has a waiting mode, so you can put it on the waiting mode. It'll count down from however many minutes you set, and then it'll give you choices about what you can do while you're waiting. So yeah, just a good way to enforce that with kids as well. There's the cold turkey blocker app. This is actually an app for your computer, not for your phone, but it will block out distractions like social media or games or apps or YouTube, or it can even like shut down the entire internet and not let you use that. The reviews that I read on this say that it is really tough. Like you cannot get around it. And they have things for like a writer mode. If you're looking to write something, it will only give you access to like the writing tools on your computer. So that's just a good way to block out distractions as well. And kind of similarly to the blocker and the Pomodoro, there's the Forest app, which is one of my personal favorites. It uses the Pomodoro technique and has you set timers for 25 minutes each. What I like about this is after you complete 25 minutes, it allows you to grow a virtual tree in your forest, which is why it's called Forest. And then every time you grow a tree, you also gain coins with that, and you can use the coins to either buy different species of trees or flowers so that your forest looks different. Or what I like to do with my coins is you can save them up and use them toward a donation to an organization called Trees for the Future that plants actual trees. One of the other features of the Forest app that I like is that you can use the app with a friend. You can join a room together, and it even heightens the stakes a little bit, because if you let your tree wither, meaning that you touch your phone or you do something with before the 25 minutes is up, your tree withers. And so if you're both in a room and one person lets their tree wither, you lose the other trees as well. So it's a way of kind of holding accountability with your friend. I know.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. I wanted to say, someone in the chat said that Glean is great for people who might misplace a live scribe pen and notebook. We'll have to look into that, Laura. That's cool.
Abby knows about Glean. Yeah.
Okay.
We have a staff member that uses Glean.
All right. And then someone said they just started using a Pomodoro timer Chrome extension and love it.
Yeah.
And then Laura said, wow, teamwork. Yeah. You do not want to let your team down with withering trees.
It's very sad when it happens.
Yeah. It's like a body doubling fail. We wanted to talk about some AT for safety too. People who are experiencing strong symptoms with mental health disabilities or other neurodiversity can have some forgetfulness and can have decreased sensitivity to touch or heat or things like that too. So talking with folks about safety related symptoms, if they're willing and want to, is a good idea. So for children, and they use it some with folks with dementia and other intellectual or cognitive disabilities, you may have we have Angel Sense, which is in the top right. Here to borrow, it is a GPS kind of a tracking device that can be worn in a variety of ways, but that wanting to escape that fight or flight response can get activated for lots of different people with mental health disabilities. So that might be something folks want to try if they have someone that elopes and can't find their way home and needs support with that. Some of them have the ability to be able to talk or listen on the device itself too. Some schools have different thoughts about that too, so that's always interesting and to check out and look into. We just have a couple examples of kitchen-related safety devices here. There's cut-resistant gloves. There's also for electric stoves, there's not that great of options for gas, but for electric stoves, there are things that can cut off the power to the stove if there's no motion detected in front of the stove for a certain period of time. So that can help with forgetfulness. There are also, we've talked about in other trauma-related trainings, like things that can test water temperature and things like that if you've got the decreased sensitivity to heat and want to make sure that you don't burn yourself, or if you're getting a bath ready for a child, to check the temperature for that. People may also have difficulties with detecting or responding to danger cues. So there's things like the Ring doorbell and other ways of making your home more safe. Being aware of your environment. We have an example of a motion detecting light on a stair here. There's also an app that's called the Tech Safety app. It helps people understand and plan for their safety, especially their electronic safety, if they're experiencing stalking or other technology related abuse. And then we have an example here of a child wearing protective headphones too. So if you're sensitive to noise and things, then there's all kinds of options for that kind of sensory safety. And then someone else saw they like Habatica for task habit forming. Yes, gamifying can be really helpful. And some other mental health apps in AT. My very favorite app for mental health is called PTSD Coach. And it was created by the VA. It is completely free and you do not have to be a veteran to use it. It is all best practices for mental health supports. And when you go onto it, you can put what kind of symptom you're experiencing, if it's hypervigilance, it's anxiety, if it's depression, and then you rate what level you're experiencing that symptom at, and then it suggests something. Like it might suggest for mid-level anxiety, doing a guided meditation, and then it will lead you through a guided meditation. And then after you use that practice, you rate if it has improved your anxiety level at all or not. And you can give the suggestions thumbs up and thumbs down. So it also can learn what your personal preferences are, so that it doesn't keep recommending guided meditation to you if you hate guided meditation. So there's a lot of research done on PTSD Coach. Like if you go to Google Scholar, or if you're at a university and you look up the research studies on PTSD Coach, they've used it with so many different populations of people, and it has been found very effective for folks. So I really like that. There's also a PTSD Coach like for family members. So if you have a family member that's experiencing PTSD, it helps you understand what they might be experiencing and helps you help them and help yourself, because it can be very stressful to have a family member who's having PTSD. That's called the PTSD Family Coach app. Other apps, there's the Calm app where you kind of can track symptoms and use supports on that too. There's a monthly or weekly fee for that. There's the Finch app, which one of our coworkers uses. That's also more of a task-related app, isn't it, Laura? Where you give yourself what tasks you want to do, and then when you complete them, it's gamifying again. You get like rewards and things to address your little Finch bird. And so one of our colleagues really likes using that. And I am told that some kids are really motivated by that. So I might be trying chat with my children. Both of my kids have PDA related autism, and gamifying can really be helpful with that. There are lots of different apps for tracking moods and symptoms. There's apps for creating your wellness recovery action plan, your RAP, and there's some links to things like that. There's apps for journaling, apps for meditation. The picture I have here in the bottom left is actually a brain gym technique. I have this rack right here. Again, that bilateral activation, sometimes passing the smooth kind of heavy rock back and forth in your hands can be calming. Sometimes you can use some like emotional freedom tapping techniques with it, like saying things to yourself, but this for me can just be helpful and calming. In this picture in my hand, on my wrist, is actually a bracelet that has different beads that represent the different parts of the mindful meditation, loving kindness meditation. So you can have physical representations as assistive technology to help you remember and practice different kinds of self-care as well.
I think we had a question about the PTSD coach.
The PTSD coach work with voiceover. I believe it does because our coworker uses voiceover. At first, it was super clunky and wasn't even on all platforms, and they keep improving it. I believe it does, though, because I think Kelly has tried it. All right, we have some apps for substance use and recovery, too.
Yeah, so when we're talking about mental health and self-care, I think substance use and recovery is something that's not covered very often when we discuss assistive technology, which is why we wanted to add it to this presentation. And when you look at some of the symptoms or things that can come about as a result of substance use or recovery, it really is also related to a lot of the AT that we covered earlier in this webinar. So anything that we've talked about can also apply to substance use and recovery, because we're talking about things like anxiety, trouble with executive functioning, safety issues, and reminders, medication management, things like that. There are many apps that are created with substance use and recovery in mind. A few of them that we found, one is the Quit Drinking app. This is an app that tracks the time of your sobriety, tells you how long you've been sober, how much money you've saved from not drinking. And so, kind of creates that streak that you don't want to break the streak in a way. So lots of different data from that. And the Quit Drinking app also has a community message board where people that are in recovery together are encouraging each other, and that is posted on quite often every day. So it's not like you're looking at really old posts. It also has breathing and meditations. It has a journal function. It has a craving tracker. And something that I found was interesting, it also has a selfie of the day that you can take to actually see the impact that sobriety may be having on your physical health and the way that you appear. Another app is called 24 Hours a Day. This app has a daily thought, a daily meditation, and a daily prayer. And you can also, save which ones are your favorites. You can go in and search for certain words, and it'll bring up, every thought or meditation or prayer that has a word in it, which is kind of nice. There's the MindShift CBT app. This is really focused on anxiety, but using some techniques that are used in cognitive behavioral therapy, or activities, things like thought journals, coping cards that just give messages about your ability to be able to cope with situations. You can also set up belief experiments. So if you have anxiety related to things that you believe will happen, if something happens or doesn't happen, you can write that down. So for example, if I make a mistake and send an email with a typo in it, my boss is going to be mad. So then you actually go ahead with that activity. You send an email with a typo in it, and then you write down what the reaction was. So you're able to kind of retrain your thinking from the worst case scenario to maybe what is more likely to happen, or things like that. There is the Everything AA app, which is really a repository of so much literature related to AA. They have shows the time and locations of AA meetings. They have a database. It also has books that you can read on the app. I found it really little, the text to be really little with some of these pieces of literature, so I would recommend maybe using a tablet or an iPad or something to read the books. But what's also nice is that you can listen to them in audio. So that's another thing that the Everything AA app can do. There's a Sober Sidekick. This is a habit tracker, which tracks the time, the number of the amount of money that you save, things like that. Shows both a way to join live AA and NA meetings. So you can join one right there on the spot that's virtual. It has an online community. It has articles that are written about sobriety, and videos that offer encouragement. And really all of these apps are helpful because they come from a place of encouragement and not judgment. I've never seen anything real negative come up on these apps. It's really just about, holding yourself accountable and tracking your progress and celebrating that. And then finally, there's the checkup and choices. This is a website that you can go to that has you do an assessment of your addiction behaviors. In this case, it is drinking. This one, the checkup and choices, is focused on drinking. You fill out an assessment related to your drinking, how much you drink, what you drink, and it comes back with a picture of your drinking habit, whether you might be in danger of more of a serious drinking problem. And then the choices part of the app is a program that you can sign up for. It does cost. There is a one-time cost for it, I believe, which is the choices part of it, and you're able to work with a recovery coach in the checkup and choices app. So on this slide, we have a picture of the 24 hours a day app, a picture of the Mindshift CBT, and a screenshot of the checkup and choices.
Another thing that a lot of folks encounter with mental health disabilities are connections to community and communication. So just wanted to acknowledge that and talk about some options for assistive technology that can reduce some barriers. Using your smartphone for texting or video FaceTiming when you don't have the energy or don't want to meet in person can be a really good option, or tablets or iPads for FaceTiming or video chatting. Alexa devices also can be used for getting in touch with people. We have in our lending library, and I know a lot of states have companion pets, having that sense of connection to a pet if you cannot have a pet maybe due to allergies or other circumstances. The companion pets do react some to interactions with you. I think personally the cats are more interactive than the dogs. So I have a picture of the cat here. It seems to just do a few more things. Online gaming might be a way for folks to connect to community or reconnect to community. Ways of finding other people who are experiencing some of the same things too. Laura has a whole presentation she's done, I think, on virtual reality and living online. What was that with your avatars and stuff like that?
Yeah, it was a while back, but yeah, we did
Yeah.
that one on virtual reality.
Yeah, so there are ways of establishing and connecting to community that are entirely online. We have a lot of assistive technology for accessible gaming too, so that can be ways of connecting as well. I personally find that accessing social media can be mostly positive and a lower barrier access way to just being in touch with other human beings when I'm experiencing strong symptoms. Although I feel like the algorithms have changed and it's not as great as it used to be. But just using assistive technology to make and keep connections can be super helpful.
Engaging in crafts can also be beneficial to your mental health and to self-care. A lot of people like crafting as part of their self-care routine. So there's assistive technology for paper crafting. As an example, we have a photo of a pair of scissors that have a suction cup that you can suction to the table, and then you can use your whole hand to cut instead of trying to use, just your fingers. We have assistive technology for painting, so we have different paintbrushes with different grips. There's also containers that you can get that you can put your paintbrush in that allows it to stay contained and won't be messy or drip anywhere. There are different types of easels that you can get. The one that we have pictured on this slide is of an easel that holds the painting upright. For me as a wheelchair user, I find this to be really helpful. If I'm trying to paint something on a table, I don't know, I just get some soreness after a while. So I think just better positioning can be helpful. We have dot art. These are just really large markers that you can create dot art with. Aimee, do you have anything else to say to? I thought you said that you had those in your house.
We do. One of my kiddos has particularly she has particular difficulty with fine motor, and holding markers and things is more difficult. So you can do the do a dot, just like you hold it with a fist and stamp. So she can make art in a more accessible way for her.
And then we also just have a picture of a adult coloring book. Those can be very helpful to your self-care routine and mental health. Those come in all different types.
I have the sweary ones.
I like those too.
I wanted to talk a little bit too about self-advocacy. Within the mental health community, especially, participating and connecting to self-advocacy can be so helpful in finding communities of people that get it, where you can start to learn about practicing pride, and then where also you can learn about like skills to advocate for yourself, because this world is fundamentally ableist, and being able to connect, especially when you're experiencing ableism, in trying to connect with care. So there's just some logos of different self-advocacy groups here, like the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network and the Autism Women and Non-Binary Network, the American Association of People with Disabilities, the CPTSD Foundation, Yo Disabled and Proud. In Michigan, our Developmental Disabilities Council has a group called Self Advocates of Michigan. It's entirely comprised of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And then the group Sins Invalid. Just finding your community, I think, is part of disability pride, and finding your community can be so validating and supportive. And then apps for self, or AT for self advocacy, can include things we've talked about before, like the Notes app and LiveScribe, and choosing ways to communicate that work for you, and using the internet and social media to connect for supports and information. Laura says she has a coloring book that's not safe for work too. Oh, Kevin put in guided hands. Our organization just got guided hands pretty recently too, and that is a great AT for art. And also on the more expensive side, for so something people would want to borrow and try first. For resources, there is a whole resource guide that is going out to you, just some things that may or may not be helpful. For folks trying to learn about trauma, there's an ACE quiz, and that's Adverse Childhood Experiences. That's like a trauma scale. I would caution that learning your ACE score can be helpful, as long as you also look at the methods for resilience and recovery, because finding out all of the negative things that are associated with a high ACE score can be overwhelming. We certainly recommend folks look into therapy done in Psychology Today for affirming anti-ableist therapists, finding mental health, trauma, and support groups. And we're really encouraging you to learn more and test out the items presented today by requesting a demonstration from your state assistive technology program.
So we just want to, we're going to save a little time for questions, but we just wanted to wrap up by saying,
where I have to talk. I'm just letting you know.
We're just saying, want
And
to
my
say
camera will be on.
Laura, we can hear you.
So we just wanted to say thank you. Our contact information is on these slides. If you'd like to reach Aimee, it's aimee@mymdrc.org, or myself is laura@mymdrc.org. We've got our contact information written down there if you're in Michigan or you just have some more questions. We have a local phone number and a toll-free number. You can reach our entire AT team by emailing at@mymdrc.org. Our website for Michigan Disability Rights Coalition is mymdrc.org. And for our assistive technology program is the mymdrc.org/assistive tech program. And the pictures on the slide are of the logo for our assistive technology program, and again, the logo for our Michigan Disability Rights Coalition. Thank you so much for your attention.
We're happy to answer any questions that didn't come up already.
We do have a couple from the Q&A. So first I'll just begin. I've put in the chat a couple times, but a link to handouts is included in the survey. So you will have a link to those. So our first question is, do you have any suggestions for a person who needs very deep pressure, almost like a pasta roller, but for a person? If you've ever seen the movie about Temple Grandin, she created a device like that for herself while she was in college. You know, my first thought is, you know, the foam rollers that are used for fitness, that might be a possible option depending on what part of the body that person needs to feel pressure.
There is a device called the steam roller, and we actually have one in our lending library. So if you're in Michigan, you can try it, and it does fit some adults. So there's a steam roller that you can, and it really is four rollers covered in vinyl with different bungee cords to adjust the strength of how squished together they are. Also, what my kids have done, because I have one child that really likes high pressure, is if you've seen the Nugget, which is like these foam things that you can build with, but they sandwich themselves in that and have another person sit on top of that. Someone said a shiatsu shoulder massage device. There are things called Theraguns or things like that that also is a lot of pressure, but that's going to be in like certain areas. Yes, you can. I have a super heavy weighted blanket too, so it depends on. It wrecked my washing machine, but you can purchase super heavy weighted blankets too. Then I would suggest taking them to a commercial laundry for when you need to wash it. Going under your mattress too. Yeah, you got to be careful with that. There are different ways to get that pressure. Oh, the crash pads too. They kind of advertise them for kids, but as an adult, you can use what's called a crash pad too. It really is like a vinyl thing that is filled with what is essentially in foam pits, if you've seen foam pits at like trampoline parks and things like that. So there are ways to do that too.
Okay, great. We have one other one from Q&A, and it's, I'm also wondering if you have any experience with a device advertised to help with sleep and calming that you hold in your hand. They just can't remember the name of it. I know for me, it's when my cat is cuddled up with me while I sleep and I hold her paw. But I'm not familiar with what you're saying.
Sensate with that too. I think you can do the sensate in your hand too, but I haven't seen anything. There are EMDR paddles that you hold in your hand, but that's a therapy tool, not a sleep. So no, I don't. Do you, Laura?
No, I'm kind of doing some quick searching to see if anything comes up. And there's something called the Alpha Stim. I don't know if that might be it.
We do have some other, like, what are the devices that our colleague Norm does? That are like alternative, like home-based alternatives to.
I would almost think a certain fidget toys potentially could, you know, because I know like what I was kind of joking a little bit about, but I sit there and I'll rub her paw as I sleep, you know, so you could do the same with a fidget toy potentially.
There is something called the Chill Pill sleep aid that you hold in your hand.
Chill Pill. I like her name. Might have to check that out for the lending library.
Yeah.
I guess it's everyone's homework is those on the webinar can do their best Google searching to see, you know, what kind of things may match that question. Yeah. So do we have any other questions in the chat that anyone would like to share, or any feedback or just comments? I'm just seeing lots of thank yous, and we do have time for questions if anyone has any. While we wait to see if we've got any more comments or questions in the chat, I will just do a reminder that we did record this webinar. It will be placed on the YouTube channel once we have the captions loaded onto that. CEUs and CRC credits are available, but you must complete the survey. The survey will pop up at the end of today's webinar. You do need to have attended the full session. And then if you miss that survey link for whatever reason, there'll be a follow-up email tomorrow for attendees. And in that survey is also a link to the handouts. For some reason you missed that link, feel free to reach out to Aimee, Laura Hall, or myself, and we'll get you those materials. Otherwise, thank you, Aimee and Laura. You did a fantastic job. Lots of ideas for people to follow up and dig into on their own. And thank you everyone for attending. This does conclude our series of webinars for the year. We'll be sending out a survey, getting ideas and other topics that people might want to learn about for next year, closer to the fall. Otherwise, thank you for attending, and everyone have a great day.
Thanks, Laura. Thanks for hosting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great series.
Take care. Bye-bye.